Today there are 22 federally recognized tribes in Arizona, and about 10% of the Native American population lives there. But how much do you know about the history of this beautiful state? We're going to walk you through a series of eras: pre-invasion, Spanish, Mexican, and various periods of the American era to present. So let's get started. Pre-invasion Arizona, meaning what we call Arizona today, but before Europeans arrived, had much different geopolitical boundaries. For millennia, and according to many since eternity, many groups lived across the Southwest. Their descendants include the Pueblos and the O'odham, sometimes referred to as Pima or Papago by other languages. As Papago means bean eaters, it can be seen as offensive to the O'odham, who descended from the Hohokam and still live in the Phoenix area to Cells and southwards into parts of Mexico. Numerous other tribes have lived along the waterways and the mountains, and even within the Grand Canyon for thousands of years, thriving in the desert. In fact, the O'odham have long considered the saguaro a relative, meaning terms like food desert don't truly capture the meaning of nothingness, and ignore how precious deserts are to these peoples. And although the Navajo today make up the largest reservation and population in Arizona, they arrived in Arizona around the same time as the Spanish. Similarly, the Apache groups in Arizona and relatives of the Navajo are, relatively speaking, newcomers as well. The next major shockwave in the Arizona region came with the arrival of the Spanish. In 1539, the first Europeans arrived. Marcos de Niza, a Spanish Franciscan friar, was chosen to explore the area north of Sonora. He and Cabeza de Vaca and Coronado were seeking gold and encountered the Zuni near New Mexico. They were credited for discovering the area, which was clearly already occupied, but nonetheless Coronado's name, despite his qualms with Spain and his cruel conduct against natives, can be found on the National Forest in various neighborhoods across Arizona. 1687 saw Eusebio Kino, a Jesuit priest whose name is also sprinkled around the desert. He established missions among the O'odham in an attempt to assimilate the population. By 1700, Spanish missionaries began settling around Tucson, the O'odham name for the city we now know as Tucson. These unwelcome attempts to cripple O'odham way of life led to a 1751 rebellion, an unsuccessful attempt to get the Spanish out. In 1768, Arizona falls under the California territories and in Spanish possession. In 1775, Tucson becomes the first European city in what would become Arizona. 1779 was the first Battle of Tucson, part of the Apache-Mexican Wars. The 1781 Yuma Revolt to the west was a successful rebellion against the Spanish and missionaries after various peoples like the Mojave and Quechan were fed up, having been subject to public whippings for entertainment and the destruction of their crops by Spanish troops. Spain never regained the area. 1 year later and further east, the second and third battles continued in Tucson. In 1784, New Spain saw its fourth Tucson battle. In 1804, Arizona is split apart from Alta California, meaning upper, opposite to Baja California, meaning lower, and now we move into the Mexican era. In 1821, Mexico achieves independence from Spain. In 1822, Arizona becomes part of the state of Sonora, Mexico. So yes, before Arizona was ever in the United States, it was in Spain, and more recently, it was northern Mexico. In 1825, the first settlers from the U.S. enter Arizona, trapping along the rivers. During this time, in other parts of the USA, tribes are being forcefully removed from the east and southeast on the Trail of Tears and other less commonly discussed campaigns and evictions. Then in 1846, the U.S. captures Tucson, bringing a relatively short Mexican rule to an end and launching us into the American era just ahead of the gold rush. It's always the gold that drives invasion, isn't it? We will pause here, right on the verge of American intervention in Arizona. Join us soon for the continuation of the series and learn more about Arizona from an Indigenous perspective. As always, be sure to subscribe, provide feedback or requests, and share this channel so we can all be on the same page.